So, more movie reviews. This time it's going to be the 50 Shades of Grey franchise. 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades Darker, and 50 Shades Freed. These are all based on novels which I have not read, but I have seen the movies. Now, before anybody starts getting on my ass, I know a couple years ago I said I wouldn't see these movies, but I changed my mind because I wanted to get an understanding of what BDSM is. Okay. Um, the film stars Dakota Johnson and Jamie Doberman as Dakota Johnson as Anastasia Steele and Jamie Doberman as Christian Grey. 50 Shades of Grey starts out with Anna doing an interview with Christian, trying to understand who he is as a person, what he's done with his life, and what he continues to do. Anna asks Christian about his sexuality, if he's gay. He says he's not. Anna's roommate was supposed to be the one interviewing Christian Grey, but she got sick, so Anna had to take over. They have the interview. He gets intrigued by her, how she carries herself. He shows interest in her. She's a college student wanting to become a writer for a magazine. She's not dating anyone. She's single. She graduates from college. He ends up trying to see what she is like as a person. She's more standoffish when it comes to him, but when she's around her friends, she's outgoing and outspoken and very fun to be around. She ends up getting drunk at a local bar, and Christian takes her home, takes her to a safe place. She then wonders why he begins to show interest in her because she's so standoffish and quiet. He, for some reason, likes how she carries herself. She wants to know more about him, but he's kind of standoffish because he doesn't want to talk about his life. They end up having a consensual sexual relationship. She wants to get to know him as a person and know who he is and know what he's like. He has boundaries that he has set in place. He does not want to be touched without her asking. He gave her a contract that states how she should present herself. That what they do with each other is nobody's business but theirs. It's to be between them and them only. She ends up falling in love with him, even though he is into BDSM. She falls in love with him, but he's really standoffish and he's kind of scared to let her in. They set the boundaries. There's a lot of sex scenes in there in regards to BDSM. It's not for those that are not comfortable with that. Christian oversteps his boundaries because she wanted to see near the end of the movie. She wanted to see what it was like, so she asked, "Punish me." So he kind of was standoffish a little bit, and he said, "Are you sure?" Because he wanted her to use her safe words. Red means stop. Yellow means I'm about to climax. Okay? But she didn't use her safe words in the movie. She did in the book, but not in the movie. He said, "I'm going to whip you 6 times, and I want you to count each time I do it." So he took off the shirt that she wore, which was his, took off the shirt, had her bend over, and he whipped her 6 times. He asked her to count. As she's being whipped, she's crying, but she's counting as she's being whipped. And after the six lashings are over, she cries and she says, "Don't you ever touch me again. Don't do anything like that to me again." And he feels bad because he hurt her. And she says, "I'm not what you want. You know, you're into this. I'm not. I'm not into this." And she proceeds to leave, and she doesn't want anything to do with him. So the movie ends with her leaving him. 50 Shades Darker, we see that Anna is still working, has her own job. Christian wants another shot with her, but she just wants him to understand that she too has boundaries. She doesn't want to go in and do punishment. She doesn't want to have punishment. She doesn't want secrets. She wants the truth from him. And he kind of says, "Okay, I want to do this again, but I want you to tell me what it is you're not comfortable with." So they start having the relationship builds, but in this sequence, we see Anna's boss, Jack, start showing interest in her. It's then found out, I'm going to go into this with the last film, that Jack was foster siblings with Christian before Christian got adopted. And we find out that Christian's biological mother died of a drug overdose, and that Christian was burned with cigarette butts by a bouncer or a dealer of some sort in the beginning of the movie. So we get to see a little bit of Christian's backstory in 50 Shades Darker. And we also get to meet his former mistress, Eleanor, whom he had a relationship with when he was 15 years old. That's how he was introduced to BDSM. Anna is still trying to peel away at the layers of Christian wanting back in because he's never wanted to try and have a relationship with any of his submissives. But Anna is different. Anna is very ballsy. You can't not tell me anything and not expect me to find out. So he starts piece by piece saying, "This is what was done to me. This is why I am the way I am." Their relationship intensifies. Anna does well at her job, but Jack, her boss, ends up making sexual advances toward her. In a way, submissive's supposed to say, "Hey, this person's making advances toward me." Christian finds out about it, and wants to kill Jack Hyde. So they end up pressing charges on him for potential sexual assault. He ends up going to jail, or not going to jail, but having a court hearing. Christian then asks Anna to move in with him, and she's kind of just like, not yet. I'm not comfortable yet. But they take steps to get to know each other in this relationship. Even though Christian said he didn't, if it meant having to give that up, he'd do it for her. But there's only one problem. Eleanor, his former mistress and lover, mistress, and the person that introduced him to the lifestyle, tries to intervene and say, well, he needs one throughout his whole life, not just in the bedroom. And Anna confronts Elena and says he doesn't do that anymore. We're in a relationship, and I appreciate it if you keep your nose out of it, because it has nothing to do with you. Anna then gets upset with Christian because he's having business talks with her, even though she was his former mistress and the person that introduced him to that lifestyle. Anna is not comfortable because then also not only do we see his former mistress, but we see another former submissive come into the picture, Leela. Leela was someone that he had a relationship with in that regard, and he didn't want to have it no more, so he broke it off. She ended up coming back after her husband died, tried to kill herself. She wanted to intervene in their relationship because she wanted Christian for herself since her husband died. Christian has to act as a submissive, as a dominant toward Leela to get her to back off because Leela had a gun in her hand and almost shot Anna. So, um, they took her away. And then Anna and Christian go to a ball that Christian's adoptive parents hold to help children who have uh, addict parents, children who were born to addict parents. And Anna runs into Elena and they have a conversation, and she tells Anna, he's not just going to want a submissive in the bedroom, but throughout his whole life. He needs someone that's going to keep him on track. And Anna told Elena, he's not into that lifestyle. I wish you would leave him alone. And Elena says, do you think you're the only one that's tried to save him from this? You aren't the only one. There's been others. She tells him to back off. Christian then proceeds to ask Anna to marry him. They set up the engagement, and all that happens. But before before any of that happens, Christian has a plane that he goes on and he crashes, and everybody thinks that he's dead or that he's died or something. And he comes back and he says, "I'm okay." He then proceeds to ask Anna to marry him. She says yes, to the dismay of Elena, who is his former dominatrix and mistress. She then gets a drink thrown in her face and gets slapped by Christian's adoptive mother. Elena says, she just wants you for your money. She doesn't really love you. Christian's adoptive mom, Christian says, Elena taught me how, or not Elena, Anna taught me how to love. You taught me how to fuck. That's the difference between you and Anna. So as his adoptive mom is hearing that conversation, she smacks her former best friend in the face and says, you leave my children alone and you get the hell out of my house. I don't want you in my house. I don't want you around my family. I want you to stay away from my family. Get out of my house. And so she left. The movie ends with Christian proposing to Anna, Anna saying yes, and they're beginning their life, as an engaged couple. 50 Shades Freed is the final chapter of this whole thing. In this one, we see Christian and Anna getting married. Christian and Anna trying to lead their lives as they normally do, but with her being married to a billionaire. She, of course, ends up finding out that she's pregnant because they've had lots of sex and no protection, no birth control, or that she hasn't had her shots, and she ends up finding out she's pregnant. Christian gets mad because he doesn't want to share her with anyone, including a child. So he gets mad. He goes to his former mistress and he talks to her and he says, this is what I'm mad about. But Anna, after finding out that she's pregnant, tells Christian, I'm pissed off at you because you left me. You left me when I needed you. You fucked up. And he said, yeah, I'm sorry. He's like, she's telling him, you're not happy about this baby. I get that. But babies happen when you have sex. And you and I tend to do a lot of that. So if you don't want to be a daddy and you you don't want to take part in this child's life. I will raise the child without you. Is that what you want? And he's like, uh, being selfish. Um, Meanwhile, they're trying to get Jack Hyde prosecuted for breaking and entering and sexual assault against Anna. He gets a court hearing. He's let out on bail. He goes after Christian's sister, kidnaps Christian's sister. Um, Anna is trying to lead her life, but she feels like she's being stuck at home and that she has to have security with her 24/7 for safety. And she feels that she can't do anything. And so when Christian found out that she was with a friend at a bar, he got pissed. He said, I don't want you out there by yourself. I'm worried that someone's going to hurt you. And that was his biggest fear. So he took her to the red room and punished her. Had her in shackles and a vibrator and all that to punish her. And so she used her safe word, which was red. And, she said, I'm okay. There's nothing to worry about. He said, you don't get it. The dream I had of you a few nights before was you laying lifeless on the ground and you wouldn't wake up. And I kept trying to wake you up and you didn't wake up. That's my fear. And so after all of that happens, we find out that Jack Hyde was a former foster family in a foster family with Jack Hyde. Jack Hyde was in a foster family with Christian. They were foster siblings. Jack Hyde wanted the lifestyle that Christian has. He got jealous, so he tried to take Anna away. Jack Hyde then proceeds to kidnap Christian's sister. He was let out on bail, kidnapped Christian's sister, called Anna and said, I want $5 million. You bring me that $5 million, I'll let the sister-in-law go. So Anna, to avoid security, she comes up with calls security and comes up with a lie to get out of the house to get to sister-in-law. She then goes to the location where her sister-in-law is being held hostage. She's tied to a chair, mouth gagged, she's crying, and she's scared. Anna then proceeds to give them the $5 million that they asked for, and they refuse to take it. And then Anna gets punched and kicked in the stomach, is laying on the ground lifeless. Christian and his bodyguards, Christian is trying to wake Anna up. Anna is unconscious and has to go to the hospital, and then wakes up and then, is okay. The baby's okay. And he then realizes with all this happening that he was real selfish, that he had chosen to think of himself and not of his wife and child. Near the end of the movie, Christian feels bad, and he apologizes, and they're making dinner, and then they go to Christian's mom's gravesite, and Christian puts flowers in her grave. Near the end of the film, we see Anna getting his jeans ready for the red room. She's getting ready for the red room, and she leaves a text with the picture that says, I await your pleasure, with the picture of the red room. And he says, so you want to play? And she says, yes, sir. And then, you're tapping from the bottom, Mrs. Gray. I can live with that. And that's how the movie ends. In the unrated version, we see a deleted scene with Teddy, their son, and we see that Anna's pregnant with Phoebe, their daughter. All ends well is well, whatever. I know people are going to be jumping my shit saying, well, why would you say that you don't like these movies? You have to understand, from my point of view, I didn't see that. as healthy. I didn't see that as, something I would be interested in. When I say interested in, I mean learning, not actually doing, because, with that, there are certain things, there is a contract that a person has to sign with their name, and they cannot disclose any information, of any sexual activity or anything like that. That's kept under wraps. I wanted to learn more about this subject, and why it has become so popular since all the 50 Shades of Grey movies have come out. 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades Darker, and 50 Shades Freed. I wanted to see what that was about. And there's been a lot of people saying, well, that's not really BDSM. BDSM, if you want to see what BDSM is, you go and you watch Secretary, which, has Maggie Gyllenhaal, who is absolutely gorgeous, by the way. Um, Fans say that the person behind the 50 Shades of Grey books stole that idea from that movie, because that's what real BDSM is. So, I'm sorry this one's so short. I'll try to do more, but I'm just taking my time right now. So, all right. Thanks. Bye.